Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So a few weeks ago I did a summer lip essentials like lipsticks, lip glosses, etc. and you guys really enjoyed it. So I thought we could do a top 5 summer eyeshadow essentials. I don't know if this tag already exists. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I'm gonna go ahead and start a little wave here, and I would love to encourage other creators and see what their top 5 summer eyeshadow essentials are. But before we go any further, let's take a second to grab our iced coffee or a hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. As you know, I have my online beauty consulting service. This is a one-on-one Zoom chat where you get the chance to meet me. And let's say you have an extensive makeup collection at home and you need a fresh set of eyes. That is the reason to book a session. So go ahead and make an appointment today. All right, summer eyeshadow. When I think summer eyeshadow, I do think hot weather. I think the sun. I think that type of J-Lo bronzed goddess eyeshadow look. So let's go ahead and start off with what I'm wearing today. This is one eyeshadow, one single. I have a couple of singles here, which is always very useful. This is from Chantecaille. This is the Lion eyeshadow. Now, this you can use wet or dry. I like to go in wet, as you can tell. From the eyeshadow here, it looks really well loved because it is. It looks really intense when you wet it. It turns into this type of molten liquid lava gold. And this is just this eyeshadow here. There's no bronzer, no eyeshadow other than this one here. It looks multi-dimensional. It has this gorgeous extra finish. And if you want to have it more toned down, I would say go in dry. Go in dry and it won't be as intense, but if you want the more intense look, which I do because I'm very extra, I wet my brush and I really just buff it out. I can show you the brush that I used. It's really dirty because I just used it. This is the BK Beauty 207. It's this type of brush here. This is one of my favorite brushes ever. I literally just buff it like this. I go up in the crease. I go underneath the lash line, and that's it. It's a gorgeous one and done, but it looks like you're wearing at least 3 eyeshadows, and to me it hits this summertime golden bronzy receptor that I love. I just think it's gorgeous. It's very easy, very versatile, and it looks like you're wearing 3 eyeshadows when really it took you 2 minutes. You prime, you apply this, you're good to go. It's really effortless. Now, along that same vein of a one and done that's gorgeous, quick, easy to use is Sisley. And this is the shade Sparkling Topaz. This one here is a bit more coppery brown. I would say that Lion looks more, it's a gold. Lion is a gold shadow, whereas the Sisley Sparkling Topaz is more of a chocolatey brown. It's definitely they're cousins, but a little bit different. So you can see a little bit of a difference here, which is why I have both, because I like to have variety. But this is that same one and done. And this one here, I don't wet it. I go in dry. I find that I don't really see a difference, wet or dry. It's really intense, even if it is dry. And again, when I use this, I just buff it with the same brush, BK Beauty, a clean one. I buff it everywhere, a little bit of liner, a little bit of mascara. You're good to go. So it does give you that same sort of flavor, but a little bit different. This one is not as gold as a liquid melted bar of gold. It's more like a chocolatey brown, but they're really great. And the Sisley eyeshadows are really phenomenal. It's it's silky, but it's not a chunky glitter. It's not going to fall into fine lines or anything like that. It gets a really beautiful, finely milled finish. So it's luminous. If you have more mature eyelids, don't be scared. It's not going to look like a chunky glitter. It won't look tacky or anything like that. It's just going to look luminous and beautiful. And it definitely looks like you're wearing more than one eyeshadow. For me, that's a one and done. It needs to be one eyeshadow, but somehow it looks like I'm wearing 3. Thank you very much. Low effort, but lots of payoff. Okay, next up is a single here from Dior, Christian Dior. This is Nude Dress. So I got this in a limited edition packaging, but the actual shade itself, Nude Dress, it comes in a 5-shadow palette, but also in a single. And the single is not limited edition, but just this packaging with the Christian Dior ribbon. This one was special for some reason. I purchased it because I love the limited edition packaging, and also it's a gorgeous nudie shadow. This one here is definitely the most neutral nude eyeshadow single. It's really beautiful, but it's more subtle. It's not going to be as intense in the shade. You can see here, it's just like a really, sorry, the construction. It's just like a really beautiful, neutral, natural eye. So let's say you do want to wear eyeshadow, but you want it to be a little bit more subtle and not as intense. Nude Dress is really a great option. It's very subtle. It's very classic. Like, you're going to look like you're wearing some makeup, but it's not as intense. So it's a really gorgeous one and done, especially if you're the type of person who likes a one and done because you don't like too much makeup. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of scary to go into a huge palette. I say this one here is a great option. Next up is a cream single from Chantecaille. This is Seashell. This is so beautiful. This is like a creamy texture, but it's not soft. Like, you can't put your finger all the way through. You know how some cream single eyeshadows are just like a mousse? This is more like a creamy powdery gel. You can see from the texture here. And listen, this finish is so beautiful. Lots of shine, lots of light. You could go ahead and add, like, fine, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just take a little bit like this and add a little bit on top like this, just to show you this look did not need more shine, but that's how I would use this single by itself. I would just take my finger and then swipe it like this. It gives you this beautiful light champagne, just a beautiful light color. So if you want something very easy, very simple, it's similar to Dior, but I think the Dior one is even more subtle in the finish, whereas this one here has a little bit more shine. But if you want to have it more subtle, use a brush when applying. I think if you swipe with your finger, you get more intensity. So, I mean, you'll be at home, you'll be able to play with it, you'll be able to see. This one here, it's great. It's very easy, one and done. Swipe, mascara, you're out the door. Obviously, I cannot talk about summer eyeshadows without speaking of Tom Ford Suspicion. This is one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes ever, which says a lot. So this is a gorgeous quad of the entire JLo Bronzed Goddess Glow in every facet. You get like your very light champagne color. You get more of a beautiful neutral light. You get a classic gold, which is close to what I'm wearing. And then you get a beautiful dark chocolate. Now, there is no matte in this palette. It's all more of a satin. It's, I would say shimmer, but it's not a chunky glitter. It's just like beautiful and luminous, similar to what I'm wearing today. So you're not going to get a matte, but it's going to look so beautiful. So gorgeous. This quality of the palette is outstanding. The shadows are so opaque, so pigmented, so intense. Like, you really just get one swipe and get the intensity you want. You can use this wet or dry. I use it dry. I find it's just as good dry as it is wet. It's very user-friendly. It's very blendable, seamless. Like, you can mix them together. You can just use one at a time. Like, if you want a palette or a quad for summer that's going to give you everything that we've mentioned before, Tom Ford Suspicion. I've gotten so many comments from you and messages and whatever, being like, oh, I don't know if I should get it. Listen, get it. Tom Ford Suspicion is the perfect summer palette. There is Honeymoon too, but I just feel like for summer, this hits all the receptors. It gets all of it. So if you're just gonna get one palette, get Tom Ford Suspicion. Now, I know I said that this is some sort of like top 5 summer eyeshadow essentials, but I actually have 3 more palettes to show you because it's my channel and I get to do that. So first up is from Dior. This is an item that is limited edition, but it's still available. And this is part of their summer release for this year. So this is the Bayadère palette. Now, when you look at this palette, you may think, I have some of these colors, or these colors don't look that exciting. I understand. This is the type of palette that doesn't look that thrilling on its own. You know, it's like one of those that's like, okay, it looks pretty, but when you wear it, it looks so pretty. And I think that's the case for a lot of more neutral shadows. They may not look that riveting in the palette, but when you wear it, it's so flattering. And this is no exception. I like how versatile this is. So you only get one matte here. The rest are more of a satiny shimmer finish. So you get your very champagne light color, but it's this peach color here. It is so beautiful, so easy to use, and it's so flattering if you want like a simple look, because just because there are 5 colors here does not mean you should use all 5. Just use a couple at a time. You could go in with just this, just the peach, and be done. You could go into gorgeous gold. You have more like a classic brown. You have this terracotta burnished like brick red matte color. It's just a really great palette, and it has so many great shades for summer. You can go into your classic gold shade like I'm doing today, something light, something like, it just has a bit of everything. So I do want to mention it because it is part of the summer release. It's still available, and I do think it's worth getting. Next up is Chanel, and this is the Les Beiges Warm palette. Now, this is a palette that I personally had to warm up to. At first, it wasn't my top favorite. This palette here, like the Les Beiges eyeshadows, tend to be a lot more subtle. They're not as opaque, not as intense when you wear them. Obviously, I wear a primer before I wear eyeshadow, but I've noticed also if I wet my brush, I do get a bit more intensity. And it's just a gorgeous light peachy gold palette. You get a little bit more of a dark brown here, but you get a lot more lightness and like pinky peachy gold shadows. So I just scratched myself. If you're someone who wants eyeshadow for summer, but you don't want that super intense like molten liquid gold eyeshadow, I get it. Get Les Beiges. It's going to give you beautiful eyeshadow. It's Chanel. It's beautiful quality, but it's a bit more subtle. The eyeshadows from the Les Beiges collections are just more demure. I don't know what other word to describe it. It's just made to be a bit more subtle. And so if you're looking for shadow, that's going to be less intense. If you're concerned about your eyelids, maybe you have more mature eyelids, and you're just concerned about how some of these are going to look on you, I would go with the Les Beiges eyeshadow category. It's definitely meant for you. Okay, last but not least in my top 5 summer eyeshadow essentials, this is number 8. I know, this is the last one, I promise. And this is from Wayne Goss. This is like a sleeper hit for me. I'm a huge fan of Wayne Goss. I love his YouTube channel. I've been a fan of him for years, but I've never actually gotten into his makeup up until recently. So I have a friend who purchased the palette and who passed it on to me. This is the Luxury Eye Palette in Imperial Topaz. Again, you may look at this and be like, you know, like neutral, brownie eyeshadows. I get it. But they're actually really nice. The quality is really beautiful, very opaque again. Like the color you see is the color you get. And I find that the shadows blend very nicely either alone or together. You can't, like, again, there are 6 colors. That does not mean you should wear all 6 at once. No. Go 2, maybe 3 if you're feeling adventurous. But that's really it. Like you don't need to use all 6 at once. That's quite, that's like an Olympic level of eyeshadow wearing if you wear 6 eyeshadows at once. So don't do that. But if you like neutrals and if you're scared by this color, if you're like, oh my God, that's so intense, don't use it. Use the other ones. Like you have more neutral colors. You get a nice mixture of more satiny. You get some mattes as well. I think the color payoff is nice, but I don't think it's as shimmery as this. I think the Chantecaille one is the most intense. Or maybe, I think Chantecaille and Tom Ford. I think Chantecaille and Tom Ford are going to give you more of this intense, shimmery look. And this one here is going to hit some of the tone receptors, but it's not going to be as sparkly and as intense. This gives like a beautiful, like warm, some neutral too, just like I don't know, just like a really beautiful, easy to use summer eyeshadow palette. So that's it for my top 5, I mean 8, eyeshadow essentials for summer. These are ones that I've used a lot on camera recently or just off camera, just very easy, simple, especially the one and dones are really great to have. They're just very effortless, which who doesn't love an effortless makeup look? So I'm actually doing a wear test today of a new to me foundation. It's the Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Foundation. So if you're new to my channel, I highly recommend that you subscribe, and you can also hit your notification bell to get a notification when I post a video, because I'll be doing a wear test of this foundation in the heat today, and I have a bunch of new products that I'll be reviewing and testing out in the near future. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notification bell set to on. Let me know what you think of this type of content. Do you like this type of like seasonal capsule where it's like eyeshadow essentials for summer, etc.? And if so, let me know what other makeup reviews or categories you want to see for the rest of summer, because we do have some more summer months ahead of us. So let me know what else you want to see for summer makeup. As always, sound off below and let me know which items are your favorites. Do you own all of these? Do you own some of these? And I would love to know, what is your go-to summer eyeshadow? Do you have any palettes or singles in particular that's just like your go-to summer palette? I would love to hear from you. And I think that's it for today. So thank you all so much for stopping by. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.